It's so crazy though. What was the catalyst for you to then quit? Like, what was the catalyst? Like, what happened in your life? Did it just get too fucking much? What made you go, you know what, I'm sick of this anxiety cycle, this trying to juggle all of these things and everything like that? Because again, in your head, you thought you were functioning in that aspect. I mean, what made you want to quit?
Well, I got to a point, and that would be the summer of 2015, where that was like the end game. I thought it was going to be easier to die than it'd be to get clean, and so I'd push the limits. You like actually
Oh
just
wow.
killing myself wasn't, it's hard to do that. And I was trying to be the most convenient OD out there, like making sure that that's how I was thinking, is like, I'm going to die doing this.
Convenient OD.
Yeah. It's a fucked up way of thinking, but that's I just in my head I'm like, I'm never going to be clean. Like I was like I think of normal people as like day walkers, and I'm never going to be one of those again, because I remember feeling so outside. I othered myself
Yeah.
so much. Like it was almost, to think of a normal life as like just ultimate imposter syndrome. And I was so dead. Like I knew it. So I'm about 180, 85 pounds right now. I was 143 pounds. You could see every single rib. You could see like my muscles were all gone. But I never looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't notice that till I actually, the first week clean. But people were starting to notice I was physically just, my face was like everything was concave, and I had a sickly color most of the time. I couldn't find veins to inject, so I had all these like armbands on to cover all the holes in my arm from trying to hit a vein. And that was my daily life, and I was getting tired of it. And I knew it was coming, because once I came to my cousin, I don't even know why. And when she gave me the tough love, I was like taking that as an excuse that no one would like me. But in the back of my head, I knew she said that because she cared about me. But she basically told me, not in these exact words, but it was, make a decision. Do you want to die? If so, just get it over with, because we're all going to hurt, basically. Or fucking get through it. Don't sit in the middle, is the gist of the point. And that it's weird, because at the time it was almost like, oh, you don't think I get clean? Well, I'll show you. And it's like my brain's like reverse psychologing me, to where I'm like, fuck it. There was this point where I'm having fun with my friends, and like Heather was one of them, because we worked at the same bar, and her and I had a couple other friends in town that I would just, and I feel so bad for this, but I would like, they'd be crying on the phone because I just wanted to call them to feel the emotion of them caring about me by me talking about how I'm going to kill myself,
Right.
and just emotionally terrorizing them. And it's like the most embarrassing like thing I can remember.
I still get calls like that from friends now.
Yeah. Oh man, it's fucking rough. And
And people that I absolutely fucking love,
yeah,
like to death
it's
to this point. So,
it's like the hardest thing you can do to someone, and there's a self-serving aspect to it, but that was my life. Like I was like trying to get into fights, like hopefully someone would just put me out and kill me. And like other people, of course, are decent. Like people were avoiding me because I look like a fucking junkie. And I'm like, I don't know the culminant, like what the exact point was, but over a period of a couple weeks, I just decided to tell some people, namely my parents. And my dad did come over one time, and they found me on the floor in my kitchen, with all my stuff. And even then, I probably could have gotten away with more shit. But my cousin was in my family's ear at that point, and I knew I was going to get cut off from any support, because I was using more than I could, like I could like earn. And I'm just like, what is this life? Like, it's the most miserable existence, where you're living 8 hours at a time, because you get some shit, and then you have 8 hours till you're going to start getting sick. And I made a plan, and I knew like I had to change my life, like uproot everything. So the plan was, I think I had one night left at work, uh, where it was Halloween, the Halloween shift. And so I worked that Halloween shift, and that's where I remember like first seeing myself. Like I never looked at myself in the mirror when I was a junkie. I couldn't stand it. And I looked in the bar mirror and just caught this like ghost of myself. And like I was in clothes, but like I'm just like, who the fuck is that? And so I called my parents and I'm like, I need to come and like I need to get out of my house. I need to like go into the basement and I need to get better. I need to get back with my doctors because I burned all these bridges with doctors and shit. I needed help. And so they after that shift, went over, my parents came and picked me up. I went to their basement, started the withdrawal for about 4 or 5 days of just intense, just the every fluid's coming out of every end. Your body is just in aching pain. Everything's screaming at you like you have no pain receptors, or your pain receptors are in overdrive because there's no opiates. And so like when you feel your bone rubbing on your skin, and when you're laying in bed, it's like just aching. And then it was day 4 or 5 that my main doctor, who I could get Suboxone from, let me come in with my parents. And, it was basically like, this is your last chance. He wrote me the subscription. It's the highest amount you can do. And it like barely helped me. And for like 2 or 3 weeks, I was weak as fuck. But I remember like thinking in my head, I'm like, I've tried this before. It's not going to work. And I'm like self-doubting myself. And I remember as we're driving back from the doctor's office, it's like 6 or 7 at night. And I'm like, my head's on the window looking out at these people like going into Starbucks and everything. And I'm just like, oh man, it'd be great to be one of those people. And I get home and I get the Suboxone and I'm like, this hurts. And once you're on Suboxone, you can't take opiates because all your receptors are blocked, which is good. But I turned my phone off I think it was off for 4 or 5 days when I went to my parents. And then it was like a week later, I got my phone out and I'm like, I have to tell everybody who's close to me because I need those stop. Like I knew that like once I said that to people, I owe them to stay the path basically. Like it's basically a stopgap. No retreat, burning the boats. So I called Jeff was my first one because that was who I needed to do the most work for. And Jeff, because he had the MMA promotion and I was doing all the graphics. So I was expecting to get fired from everything and burn a bunch of bridges. So I actually had replacements. I talked to Tom, my video friend, and another buddy
Tom Wingard?
Yep, Tom Wingard, to help Jeff out and like basically had a replacement for me. And so I called Jeff and I was just like, I just told him what I had been through. I'm like, I've been doing heroin for 3 or 4 years. I'm a junkie and this is where I'm at. And he was like, all right, man, well, let's like call me when you feel better. Let's talk about what we do. And he was like the most supportive person, I got a lot of support, but he was there throughout it all. Just like, and that first call was so motivating. Like it was, I was crying, just talking to him because it was just not what I expected. And I was like, okay. And then every phone call was like that. Everybody I called, all my friends, it was, I'm glad you're alive. Like, keep us posted. How are you doing? So I keep checking up with everybody. And like 1 month went by and then 2. And I'm like, I'm fucking doing this. Like, it was weird. I didn't have any inkling to go back. I was loving life. Like weird little thing is I didn't listen to music or notice music when I was a junkie because you're just about the drugs. Right. And I got some noise canceling headphones, just sit in my parents' basement and just rediscovering music. It was like I'm listening to like fucking Taylor Swift and just pop music. And it was just like I feel
Taylor Swift, you're a lifesaver.
It was just like indie pop because I was listening to my old stuff, but obviously like just going on the iTunes radio and just feeling it. And I'm just like, I like this feeling. And I did what my cousin initially said. I put that effort into actual life. And within a year, I was asked to be a partner in Sparta Media Group. And so I was then a business owner. And then a couple years later, I was asked to be a partner with the MMA promotion. And then it just kept going on from there. And so it's been, obviously there's ups and downs, but I've never.
Life will always have ups and downs.
And I've hit so many things that I would have thought would make me relapse. You know, I've had, like, there's been tragedies, there's been horrible things that have happened, and it's never like the last thing on my mind is going back to drugs.
So it's a non-starter now.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, I've gone to help people, like people, you know, obviously with my history, I'm sure, like, I know you have too. When friends or family have somebody in their life that's going through addiction, you know, they ask you for advice, or they ask if you can talk to somebody. And, you know, I can only give advice, you know, and just maybe help out, point them in the right direction. And I don't know how that's paid out over the years, because I know with me, when people would come and talk to me, like, I'd retain the information, but it'd be years before I'd implement it. And
so you have no clue what the outcome is. You just planted whatever seeds you could.
And I went to, you know, I remember going to one of my friend's sister. I don't know. It was her. Yeah, it was his sister, I think. And she was using, and she had, like, there was heroin out on the table. And, like, that was probably, like, the last big test of being, like, right there to where I could, like, easily get high.
Right.
And yeah, there was just nothing in my head, like, to do that, because it's a non-starter, like you said. Like, like getting high, it's gonna sound super cheesy, but getting high on life is amazing.
Bro, it's not cheesy at all. It's fucking real. Like,
it makes you appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean,